This AskReddit user asks, what's the most tech-illiterate thing you've seen a person do? There are a few people here at work who will take a picture at the job site, print the picture, scan the picture to their email from the copier, and then forward the email to the recipient. My mom is kinda like this. She will copy a URL from her laptop to a piece of paper and bring it to me in the next room. That's kinda cute though. I have a mill like this. It's cute for about 5 times. After that it's infuriating and you start wondering if they are doing it on purpose just cause they love reactions. I saw an elderly man open up Microsoft Word and take out a marker and start writing on the page on the screen. This was about 20 years ago. Way before tablets and smart pens. There were pocket computers in the late 90s which allowed you to write with a stylus. I once did a PC rollout. Everyone was told to back up anything stored in their desktop and local PC and we would restore it all back. Well, this woman handed me a pile of A4 sheets of screenshots of the files and folders and asked me to scan them back into her machine. Everybody I supervise refused to directly enter information into Excel. They insist on writing it down on paper and then putting it in Excel. My English techer didn't know how to put a YouTube video full screen. She tried for 10 minutes then asked 4 kids to help her. It took 4 kids to help her? No. But she wanted to make sure that the mission will succeed. I think you could lose brain cells from that portion of the lecture. So the mission to teach definitely failed. Refer to Internet Explorer as E. This is why MS named their new browser Edge. They had other names but focus groups had issues grasping that there was no longer a big blue E to take them to the internet. Back when I worked for an ISP I used to call this blob theory. The idea is, people just see their desktop as a bunch of funny-shaped blobs. They don't know what they are for, they just know one blob gets them to web pages. One to email. One for word processing, etc. If any of those blobs change shape or color they become hopelessly lost. We'd get a sharp increase in calls anytime Microsoft changed the IE logo. Which used to happen quite often. A woman in her 30s. Emo too young to be this technically illiterate given this was in 2017. Was trying to plug in the female side of a power cable to a wall outlet. And when it was missing, the prongs came to the logical assumption they had broken off and gotten stuck in the wall. I saw all of this in person while she was on the phone with her poor tech support guy, probably confused on how this woman tore the prongs off of her power cable. She figured it out before I left. But it was a sight to see. I'm in a high school engineering course. And we were doing 3D modeling on laptops. This one girl who was clearly just there to fulfill graduation requirements used the trackpad every day for over a week. And if you've ever tried 3D modeling with a trackpad, then you know it just doesn't work. Eventually, I asked her why and she responded, "My mouse doesn't fit," and proceeded to prove to me that her mouse USB, in fact, does not fit into the SD card slot. It still amazes me that a 16-year-old kid who has grown up in the 21st century does not know how to plug in a computer mouse. This is actually good for people like me though. It lets me know that I'll still have a job in 30 years, since even with tech everywhere, people are still dumb and will rely on me to fix their messes because they don't want to learn super basic stuff. Apparently a lot of kids are not very computer literate because they use mostly phones, tablets. My wife used to work at an orthodontist. Last year they had someone come in and they have a computer to sign in. This kid acts so confused on what to do. My wife asks, "Is there an issue with the computer?" He says, "Yeah, there is a screen with stuff floating around. It's just the screensaver. How do get past it? You can move the mouse." "The what? How do I use it?" This kid was like 9 years old and had no clue how to use a mouse. I never would have guessed touch devices would end up causing this. My Nana once asked my granddad to turn her laptop on for when she got home. He ended up ringing her because he couldn't find the button to turn it on. So she was getting annoyed, saying it's right there in the top right corner. After a minute or two of utter confusion, she stopped, laughed, and asked if he'd opened the lid of the laptop. He asked, "What lid?" Wasting an entire tech budget on peripherals, with no computers to attach them to. A school I worked at spent more on nice monitor mounting brackets than they did on the computers. I thought that was stupid at the time. But they've survived several generations of computers and are still very useful since it's at an elementary school, and there's a huge difference in position needed for first graders versus fifth graders. Why buy quality computers when the kids will probably break them? Or at the very least need upgraded every 3 to 5 years. My coworker is pretty tech dumb in a lot of ways. He was using one finger to hold the shift button on his phone and typing with the other hand to type in all caps. Thought a copy pasta was actual pasta. There's a lot more like thinking Amazon was a scam and not knowing that copy-paste was a thing, so he would manually type out everything, including links. If I find them, I'll post it. He's truly a sight to behold, and he's only 23. My older neighbor couldn't figure out how to update the navigation system in his new car. He was flummoxed by the term USB flash drive in the owner's manual, no clue what it meant. Oh man. I worked in a cell phone store for 10+ years and encountered a lot of people who didn't know the basics of technology or electronics. A few of my favorites include the kid who didn't understand why his phone didn't work anymore after taking it in the shower with him to text his girlfriend. The lady that refused to buy a new phone unless I could guarantee she would be able to plug it into her air conditioner. The landscaper who swore at me because I told him I couldn't fix his flip phone after he'd ran it over with a lawnmower, shredding it into tiny pieces. And my absolute favorite was a little old lady that would come in every other week because she would either forget that she needed to charge her phone for it to work, or forgot how to turn it back on after having charged it. She would also sit at the front of the store to listen to her voicemails on speakerphone, because she thought she couldn't listen to them anywhere else. Edit. I almost forgot the guy that took a screwdriver, looked more like he used a jackhammer, to remove the Bixby button from a Samsung Galaxy Active because it was stuck. His excuse was that we'd told him he could remove it easily. Spoiler. We didn't. Edit 2. I also just remembered the college kid that dropped his flip phone in beer at a kegger and thought it would be a good idea to dry it out by putting it on a light bulb. Not a lampshade. A light bulb. That FR melted all the way through the screen and left a gaping 2-inch hole. Bixby must die at any cost. My mom makes a new folder every time she uploads a new picture. She has like 600 folder with 1 or 2 pictures each. She doesn't see the problem. She's just doing that to hide her hentai collection from you. Ah, I could see that. Sure. But you might have to look through hundreds of folders. A while back, one of my coworkers called a few people together to show them a new trick. They had just gotten off of a call from a supplier, and they, boss and supply rep, were going over a PDF. The supply rep told the boss to do CntrlF to find specific parts of the PDF. Troubleshooting section, I think. The boss had been scrolling for like 15 minutes reading the PDF line by line to get to the troubleshooting section while the supply rep was on the line. I only caught the tail end of the conversation where the boss was showing people that you could use CntrlF to find thing in that specific document. A majority of the people boss had called over were in shock at such a technological innovation. I just stood there, shook my head, and tried not to impulsively blurt out that CntrlF had been a function for quite a while and that it worked on more than that specific PDF. So our teacher tried to show us an example of last year's project in order for us to get an idea as to what to do. She opens up an essay made by a student from last year. In the essay there was a link to a website the student created for the project. That girl went all out on this project from the looks of her essay. Well, here comes the cringe part. First up, our teacher manually types the link. But since it was a redirect, it had random numbers and letters in them. So, after a couple of painful minutes we try to point out that she made some typos, which she ignores, and then she gets surprised that the link isn't working. I heard a random person over chat in Rocket League last night. His girlfriend kept clicking a link that wasn't hyperlinked, and was getting audibly frustrated trying the same thing just clicking. This man explains in the most drawn-out and unnecessary process that she just needs to Ctrl-C, then Ctrl-V. Never mind Shift-click. He was explaining everything. How to highlight, how to go to another window, etc. Like, bro, just do it for her lol. Had a lady in her 40s bring a new laptop into the shop that I worked at many years ago. She said she bought it brand new from Best Buy the day prior, and now it was completely dead and wouldn't turn on. She put it on our table, and we hit the power button. She's correct. Nothing happened. Then we asked for her charger. The what? Quote. Yep. She had zero understanding of laptops using batteries, or electricity in general, I guess. So we had to explain what a charger is. That she would need to plug it into her laptop when it was low on battery. Was that supposed to come with the laptop? I didn't get one of those in the box. Besides, I already threw the box away. Quote. So we sold her a charger. Luckily it was a Dell, so we had plenty in stock. And she went about her merry way. My grandfather took 2 buses to work every day. Like in many cities, his city offers a transport pass. He doesn't want any cards, so he paid for each individual ticket in cash. My grandmother told him it would be cheaper to have a transport pass. Once at work, he nearly got fired because he refused to upgrade his computer from MS-DOS. This was in 2014. He eventually upgraded to Windows XP, which I think stopped being sold around that time. He does not have a smartphone or a tablet. He retired a couple of years ago. That sounds less tech illiterate and more just refusing to adapt to modern tech. My little sister used to type her friends' names into her phone. I.e. my friend John Doe, expecting the phone to know who she was wanting to call. Old lady asking someone to withdraw money at the ATM, and giving strangers the PIN for her card, because she didn't know how to do it. She does this regularly. There's a ridiculous amount of people who will just yell their PIN to me in the drive-thru to withdraw money because they don't want to fill out a withdraw slip or use the ATM. Same goes for their SS number. Just a PSA. Bank tellers don't want to know your PIN or have you yell your personal info to them. Just fill out your slips and stop BG about giving them your driver's license. Edit. Holy CP, this really blew up. Thank you for the award and thank you for all your stories. Nobody is perfect, tellers or customers. But the people who work at the bank don't own it and don't make the rules. They're just trying to keep your information safe, keep their jobs, and help you navigate the processes that have been established. The bank employees you're dealing with aren't the ones with any power. But if you can muster up some patience, they will do everything they can to help. And that includes bugging their bosses to make an exception if possible and call you back with information. In college, a bunch of us were out in a group in a party part of town. We were accounting majors, by the way. We're walking down the street in a big group and I look down and see a card on the ground. I pick it up and it's an ATM card with a set of 4 numbers written on the back. Flip it over and it's got the name of a girl in our group. Girl is a genius that can't forget anything. Literally remembers everything. Give it back to her and ask her if that is her PIN. It was. This may be a weird system, but I write my PINs on my cards. And I write down other passwords. but I alter them according to a simple system that I keep memorized and don't write down anywhere. For example, let's say my system is first number plus 1, second number plus 2, third number plus 3, fourth number plus 4. If my PIN is 2222, I write 3456 on the card. No one would ever guess the correct PIN unless I told them what my system was. That way I can write down my past numbers and not worry about them being seen. All I have to do is memorize one thing, no matter how many secret numbers I have. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.